All right, welcome everybody to today's sales coordinator call. Hopefully you guys are all fast tracking and using this information to be able to move your business to sales coordinator as quickly as possible. And that's really our key here, is to help you really maximize the marketing plan, make this simple. And we've brought in some of our very best to be able to share just some wisdoms and knowledge with you so that you can turn around and just go do what they say they're what work for them. So anyway, today we have Suzanne Burns. And Suzanne, tell us a little bit about you, and then I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yes, my name's Suzanne Burns, and I live in the UK, in the north of England, Newcastle upon Tyne, with my dogs, my cats, in a beautiful village. I do a couple of things. I'm managing director for a company based in London that teaches people to trade on the stock exchange and in Forex. I'm also a trainer with Tony Robbins, which I love. But actually my passion is definitely around Juice Plus. So I'm very grateful to spend the time with Juice Plus and growing my Juice Plus business. I enjoy every minute of it, and very grateful to be on to share with you guys who are committed to fast tracking to sales coordinator. And once you do that, then you pick up the momentum to do whatever you want to do.
Absolutely, that's for sure. So today you're going to be talking to us about reconnecting to your why. So tell us what you got.
Okay, I'm going to go. Okay, so just a little bit about my story then. I got involved in Tony Robbins' environment, which many of you may have heard of, about 12 years ago. And it was through that event that I was introduced to the concept of raw foods, bizarrely in a way, because my mother was a home economics, a cookery teacher, and my dad was involved in sports. So to all intents, as a family, we were fairly well educated, supposedly in nutrition, etc. But it was in the time, certainly in the UK, of meat and 2 veg being, the nutritious diet that we should, as a family, enjoy. On Tony Robbins' 4-day seminar, Unleash the Power Within, he spends 3 days opening up our worlds for us to see that anything is possible. And then he lets us know that without energy, we aren't going to achieve what we want to achieve. And that rang so true to me, because for all I, was involved in life, I was, doing what I was doing. But, I can remember a lot of the times when I spoke to my mum, for instance, and she asked me how I was, I'd go, I'm tired, and how many people do that? So it definitely rang true that, energy was such an important thing. So I left the seminar and did his 10-day challenge, which was to cut all processed foods out of our diet and eat 70 to 80% raw. I do like to be a bit of an achiever, so I went more like 90 to 100% raw, and it was very powerful for me. It was definitely the first step to making massive changes in my life, which actually has brought me to where I am today. And I pretty much continued on that, and in fact introducing more and more greens into my diet. And of course people would ask me about what I was doing, and then I would tell them, and I would just see their eyes glaze over, because there was no way they were going to do go to those extremes and change their lifestyle that much. Anyway, about 5 years ago, I was introduced to Juice Plus. Initially, as many of us, as it's the case, wasn't interested, because at the time there was always, particularly in the environments that I was in, there was always another product to have a look at. But I did get the residual income piece. I did understand from a business point of view that residual income was really what we were after, not having to give time for money. And so that actually, at the time, made it more interesting for me to take a look. And even though I was really good diet-wise, when I went on Juice Plus, I noticed a difference within a couple of weeks with my hair, my nails, my skin. I've always had really fine hair. And I found like when I was washing my hair, I felt like I'd left the conditioner in, because there was, it was thicker. My nails were stronger. My skin, there was just this glow to my skin that I hadn't experienced. And also something I have to say, we don't talk about very often, but it is a sign, is that I found that my menstrual cycle was a lot stronger from being on Juice Plus. And because these things were showing up, it had me look into the product more. And, definitely what I was putting in my body was important. And so I looked into the ingredients. Also, my credibility was important. I looked into the research. And of course, there was so much in place. And still, I was expecting a catch. But I continued to love it and was setting up a massage business at that time. So I was taking massage into the workplace, as well as doing business consultancy. And I started to talk to people about Juice Plus when they were asking me how I was doing, what I was doing, that sort of thing. I was talking to them about Juice Plus and the difference it was making to me, and I got orders. So I made SD, senior sale, it's VF for a lot of you guys, but senior distributor within my first month. And we had a program at the time doing the 625 and 1, so getting some product sales and a distributor each month, which was a program that was running, and I did that. But looking back, when I look back at that time, really I was just playing with it because I hadn't really established a strong why to do the business. I liked the idea, I was giving it a go, but I really hadn't connected to what this was going to do for me or give me. So what happened at that time was, as other things were taking off, I did less and I lost some focus. So interestingly, some of you may have heard of John Holowati from the UK, who really in the last years has built a massive business. So John started around the same time as me, and at the time in the UK, the conferences were pretty small, and we'd see each other and we'd connect and say, what are you doing? How are you doing it? We'd agree to speak. If I had somebody who was into personal training, I'd give him a call. If he had somebody who's into business or something I did, they'd give me a call. And at that time, I, want to let you know that I made sales coordinator before him, which is my claim to fame. However, he stayed committed to the business. And I believe that he asked himself the question regularly of what is it for me? How was he going to make it work? But the reason that he did that and stayed with it was because he saw the massive possibilities. He knew what he wanted. And so he saw the massive possibilities that Juice Plus being a vehicle could give him. So Juice Plus could give him his why. He knew his why. He knew why he was doing it, and he knew Juice Plus had the potential to give him what he wanted. So he stayed committed because he knew his why. He had a strong why, and therefore he was focused on achieving that with Juice Plus as his vehicle. So the power of why means that during that amount of time, actually in the last couple of years, because the first few years he didn't earn that much through Juice Plus, but in the last years, he's become $1 million earner. And I would absolutely say that's because he knew why he was doing this business. He knew what he could achieve through this business. And therefore, in those first years where he wasn't earning that much, and he will say that he was, getting a few pounds in his bank account, but going and presenting to people and telling them how wonderful this was and what it could give him, because he knew what it was he wanted, and he knew that Juice Plus could give it to him. So he stayed committed and he stayed focused because of that, asking the question as he went along, and therefore he found the answers. And it was truly by knowing his why that had him stay doing that. So for me, I got reconnected to Juice Plus in 2013, so a couple of years ago. This time I was clearer on what I wanted. So I had done what I was doing at that time, but I knew actually that I wanted a residual income, and actually that had become really important to me, because some of the things that I valued most in life were things like freedom, spending time with my family and my friends. And so within that, the residual income allowed me to do that. And as you can probably tell, that is a very strong part of my why, therefore. Why do I want to do this business? Because I want those things. So I wanted time freedom, I wanted money freedom, I wanted massive possibilities in the things that I'm doing. I wanted to help people, and health and wealth are passions of mine. You know, you can see from my experience with Robbins and the 10-day challenge and the raw foods on the one side, and you know, the fact that I'm managing director of a company who teach people to trade on the stock exchange and in Forex, you know, it's all about wealth creation. And it's honestly, it's never about the money. It's about what that can give people. You know, when people are calling in that environment, are interested in taking a look, it's because they want to send their kids through school. They want to, they're worried about their pension. They want that holiday. They want a great Christmas. They want to spend time with their families. So it's the same reasons. Most people are wanting additional income for the same things. They want the better quality of life. So when I went to the conference at that time in 2013, May 2013 in Ireland for Juice Plus, I really got how fantastic the product was and what it was doing for people in so many areas. But not just that, the range of people that it was helping in terms of a business in wealth creation. I can remember sitting there at that conference and seeing people from all generations, you know, the Gen Ys that we talk about, you know, the younger generations, from me certainly, and then the Irish crowd are a great crowd, many, I would say, in their 50s, 60s and 70s. So we had the full range at that conference. And there was a reason why all of them were there. They were all looking for something more. At that time, you know, even or a couple of years before, through the massage business, I would be speaking to people all the time who were saying their kids had come out of college and couldn't get the job that they'd studied for. They were working in bars or restaurants or doing those sorts of jobs. We had Ricardo Mendoza speak on stage. He's from Portugal. He's QNMD currently. Anytime now we'll go NMD. The country isn't even open. They ship from Spain. And he talked at that time of the fact that Juice Plus and the business was giving his country hope. His country was on its knees and people were looking to get out. Well, Juice Plus was offering them a business opportunity and to stay in their country. So there were all so many powerful stories of how the product and the business were helping these people. And actually one of the things that's really important to me is to add value and make a difference. So when I saw that, I could see, you know, it just stirred something in me that showed me that Juice Plus in the product and in the business could really help me get and give back what I truly wanted to do. So you could see how at this point I was establishing more of my why it was important to get involved and do this. And Juice Plus was a vehicle for allowing me to get to where I wanted to be. And not just get to, but actually it was part of the journey, very much a part of the journey. So once I'd made that decision, once I'd found, realized that it was going to give me so many of my whys, I went to National Marketing Director in 6 months because I'd committed to the business and I set myself some short-term goals at that stage. And then once I'd achieved those, interestingly, I went into a little bit of management mode, and by doing that, lost some momentum. And at that point again, but I did it more consciously this time, still completely committed to the business, I had to reconnect to my why. Because our whys are the reason that we do any activity. And it's also the reason that we do activity consistently and committed. And actually, even when we're not getting definitely when we're not getting the immediate results, because none of us, get the immediate results. Actually, just on that point, a story that sticks with me from a conference at Barcelona was from Jeff Roberti talking about telling his story and speaking to people, and that generally people just don't speak to enough people. And at that conference, he was in the restaurant in the morning and the waitress came over. And bearing in mind, we'd all been, 3,000 people had been there 4 days. And when the waitress came over to take his order and asked him what he was doing, he told his story. And he waited to see if there was any interest. This is what he said: I told my story, I waited to see if there was any interest. There wasn't. So I moved on. And the reason that I'm saying that is because sometimes we think that the people who are, the top earners, the Jeff Robertis, the Cheryl Corteses, the top earners, that they found this magic formula that actually means that they have these certain things that they say that has everybody say yes. And it's not the case, as in that story. He didn't say these magic words that had the person say yes. He just spoke to them, looked to see if they were showing an interest, and then moved on. And the reason that it fits in is because what has us do that consistent activity is because we're committed to achieving our whys. And so the clearer and stronger our whys are, the more consistent and committed our activities will be. Also, the more conscious our whys are, because the reasons for me doing anything have always been there, but I hadn't necessarily connected them to the reason I was doing the Juice Plus business. And when you do that, so that's about connecting and reconnecting to your why. Some people say your why should make you cry. And that actually hasn't been true for me. It hasn't made me cry. But my true why, when I really consciously looked at why I was doing this business, it does have me take action, and it does make me emotional. And so for me, my whys relate to my values, because I know sometimes we say these things in different environments, and people will say, but what is my why? How do I find what my why is? For me, my whys relate to my values. So I value freedom, I value family, I value friends, I value giving back, I value adding value, I value making a difference to others' lives, and I also really value growing my skills and being the best me. And actually that shows up for the work that I do in the Robbins environment. It shows up in the work that I do in other business environments. And what it is, what Juice Plus gives me is the ability to do that consciously all of the time. And I absolutely love it. I know when I think of my values that if I got to the end of my life and I was sat in my rocking chair, I look back at my life and I'd had no freedom to do things like travel, to live in the country, spend time in the country, go for walks, spend time with friends and family, be with my animals, volunteer, particularly with young people, support the community. If I felt that I had just looked after myself going back and forth from home to work, that makes me feel ill inside. That makes me feel emotional, that I would not have lived my life. I wouldn't have had a fulfilled life. And therefore, that forms my why. It's important why I make sure that I can do those other things so that I have that fulfillment. So the biggest part of that, which makes me feel emotional, is not having used my ability and talents to give back, to make a difference to others. And there are many ways I can do that. One of the ways that makes me smile the most is through Juice Plus. And the reason that it makes it smile is partly because I didn't realize it for ages, how Juice Plus can really give to others. It gives them a quality of life through health and wealth, through developing their own skills. It gives people confidence, a sense of self-worth, pride in what we're doing. It gives us a peer group of amazing people and holds us to a standard that can have us be proud. Through the freedom it gives me in health and wealth, I also get to spend time in other areas that mean so much to me and that make a difference to me and others. And I'm so grateful for that. So my question, of course, to you is, what is your why? And it's interesting to note that, there was, when in the UK, what was called the UK phenomenon. And when it was happening, we were all looking to do those things that those people who were going fast were doing. And I had a number of conversations with different people where I was saying, I can see what they're doing and the way that they're doing it, but it's just not for me. That's just not my way. And I actually had a brief Facebook conversation with Lauren at the time where, we had a similar conversation saying, that just wasn't really our way, the way that, people were doing. There was nothing wrong with it, it just wasn't our way. Of course, there was nothing wrong with it. They were being massively successful in it. But our consensus was that, we have so much to give. And what we absolutely needed to do was make sure we were adding value to other people. Well, that's part of my why anyway, is I want to add value. So when we were having that conversation, a light bulb clicked again that, I value adding value. So if me adding value without looking for anything back can attract people to me and to ask me, connect with me, ask me what I'm doing, want to be a part of that, then that's massive for me. And so within that, what I'm saying is oftentimes we talk about know our why because that tells us why we're doing what we're doing. But actually, oftentimes, if we look at, for me, if we look at the Juice Plus business, we can also, those things that are important to us and that we want to be doing, we can absolutely do in the Juice Plus business. And I'm saying that, and it's very, very true for me. And I just don't think it's only true for me. I'm sure that, a lot of the reasons why you who are involved on the call got involved are for some of those things. So to know our whys and to know, also what's our style, what's our identity within anyway, but also within the business is we want to know who we are, to be who we are, know what our values are, know our whys. Why did we get involved? Which is part of your story anyway. Starts with your product and business story of why you got involved. And then oftentimes there's a bigger why. What do you want the product or business to give you, your family, your loved ones, your lifestyle? And then look at how this business not only can have you achieve your why through health and wealth, but also the activities that we do and the person we become to do the business actually, I think on a day-by-day basis, allow us to fulfill our why. I don't know whether that's confusing. I feel like that's confusing as I've said it, but hopefully it makes sense. So we get to do those things as we go within Juice Plus. So if I look at my whys, my values, I get freedom from doing Juice Plus. It's freed up time. When I'm doing the Juice Plus business, I've connected with a few people today. I went and met with somebody. I've had a long telephone conversation with somebody else. I don't feel like I'm working. It is truly me doing what I love to do. So that that's freedom for me, freedom to do what I want to do. And in the time that I want to do it, it allows me to spend time with loved ones, with friends and family. And actually, so many of us can say within Juice Plus that people become our friends and family. We're off to the Brighton conference. I know many of you have got conferences to go to. We're off to the Brighton conference next weekend. I cannot wait to see my friends through Juice Plus and spend the time and catch up. And we just will have a great time. Those meetings today, those calls today, I feel like within them I'm giving back, I'm adding value, I'm making a difference. I'm growing my skills all the time because I'm all the time looking at how I do things differently or better, or how I support my team achieve what they want to achieve. And I believe we attract others to want to do the same because many of our whys are the same. So I love this business. I love sharing the love of it. And this evening, you've allowed me to do that. I thank you for it. And I hope it's been useful also in terms of the information given, and given you, some guidance, I hope, or some ways to connect to your why it's important to, and at those times that maybe you've just gone off track, that's the time, that's one of the things to do, is to reconnect to it. So some of the exercises I found useful for myself at different times that I'll give to my team to do, that I think are really beneficial to really find your identity within Juice Plus and your why and, your style, is to know who you are. So an exercise for that is to write down, or do it on a spreadsheet or whatever you want to do, but 100 things that you love about yourself. And I know when I say 100 things to people, they go, oh my gosh, but I can promise you, if you do the first 30, then the rest come easily. You just get into the stride. It's a little bit like our doing our lists of people that we know. We do the first 30 and then suddenly we're at 100 before we know it. The other piece is to be who you are within this business. Really connect to yourself and be who you are. Don't look to do the business to build a business. Look to do the business to help other people, and then it will just happen. And being who you are, and actually sometimes knowing what your why is, an exercise to do for that is to write down 100 things you loved to do as a child. When I did that exercise many years ago, it was really interesting because I was living in the city and I hadn't been near a horse for years. And actually, when I wrote down the things that I loved to do as a child, there were many, but some of them were being in the country, and I was with horses all of the time. So even just doing that exercise reminded me, wow, that's where I need to get back to. And within a short space of time, I was back living in the country and very close to horses. And, just those things, connecting to who makes such a difference to what we attract in life. Know your values. So out of those exercises too, I believe that you will, you'll just be able to list those things that you value that are important to you. And from that, that's where those are the things that your why will come from. Your strong why, you really get a sense of it. And the last thing to do through all of that, I would say, have fun with it. Of course, have fun with it all. But also a fun exercise is to imagine yourself in that rocking chair at the age of 110, rocking away, looking back at your life and just knowing what it was that made the life that you've lived so fulfilling, so amazing, so wonderful, that you can sit there rocking back and forth with a smile on your face. So thanks so much for your time tonight. I wish you all the best in your journey and your fast track into sales coordinator. Have fun with it all. And I'll look forward to catching up along the way.
Thank you, Suzanne. That was an awesome call. I love the homework, and you're such a light. So have so much fun at your conference. And where's your conference at again?
Brighton in the UK.
Oh, awesome. So we have ours next week, not this weekend, but the weekend after as well. So we'll be thinking of you.
Yeah, us too. We will.
All right. Well, we'll get your call up. Thank you so much. And you guys connect to your why, and I'll get the homework posted on that page as well. And Suzanne, if you want to add anything to that page, feel free to do so. Okay.
Fabulous. Thanks so much, Reagan, for hosting.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Suzanne.
Thank you. Awesome call.